Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PSGL, sponsored by GT Omega. We are at round number 5 of the season. We've had 4 different victors in the first 4 races. Who will take the victory tonight in the land of the rising sun? Who will rise to the top of the standings? Welcome to round number 5 of the season. Welcome to the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. My name is Luke Etheridge. Unfortunately, Chris Buxton is not feeling too good tonight, so best wishes with Chris. Hope he recovers in time for next week, and kind of hope he misses a really exciting race. If I'm being honest, as we've already said, we've had some fantastic action so far this season with 4 different winners in the first 4 rounds. And last time out, it was reigning champion here, Luke Smith, who took his first victory of the season. You might remember, last time out, we thought he was going to get that 5-second penalty remove. In the end, that was confirmed. Reuben Pedregno finished in 2nd place, and pole sitter Chanakinchi finished in 3rd. What that has done for the drivers' standings then in the championship does mean Reuben Pedregno is on top, despite losing out in that victory in the end. He's now 10 points ahead of Joost Noordijk, who again, Joost is unable to make it tonight. Luke Smith puts himself up to tied with Joost, so he'll be hoping that tonight he can at least get himself to 2nd place, if not first. Simon Perronier, ever the consistent driver, 4th in the championship. Max Wiesel dropping to 5th, Christoph Seller, Alfie Butcher, Duncan Hoffland, Georges Neder, and, as we said, getting his first podium in his first race last time around, Chan Akinci is now 10th in the championship. And Chan will be racing back tonight. We have got a few other reserve drivers coming in that we'll see over the remainder of tonight around the Suzuka circuit. A very interesting circuit. Definitely one that is not the easiest to overtake on. Won't be seeing the same sort of battles that we were getting at Mexico, with drivers constantly chopping and changing places. If we take a quick look then at the track map, you can see 5.807 kilometers, 3.608 miles, 18 turns, 10 to the right, 8 to the left, only that one DRS zone on towards turn number 1. And it is not the longest run towards turn number 1, so not really a massively heavy braking zone. Where you might actually see a few more overtakes is on the run down towards the Casio Triangle, turn number 16 and 17. That little chicane there always seems to provide a few dive bombs, and as we saw last night, you can get some great racing around this circuit. A proper old school track that really does punish mistakes that any of the drivers make. Let us know who you think is going to take the victory tonight. Will Pedregno manage to take another win? Will he become our first multiple winner here in F2? Will we see someone making it 5 different winners from the first 5 races? And if we do see someone doing that, who do you guys think it is going to be? Simon Perronier's only had 1 podium so far. He is a very quick driver. We know Chanakinchi is quick. As we mentioned, he's reserving once again. Caden Lutt, he got points on his debut last time out. He is also making a bit of an appearance tonight. So really intriguing to see how things are going to work around the Suzuka circuit. And there is always, as we all know, there is always that distinct possibility that you are going to get some rain around Suzuka. And that might just change everything for all of the drivers. That just might really make things very interesting indeed. But enough of seeing me. Let's head our way towards the qualifying session. Unsurprisingly, things are looking pretty quiet at this moment in time. Not too many drivers heading out there on the track straight away at the moment. There we go, Luke Smith now just starting to make his way down the pitch. One of the Red Bull drivers just ahead of him, so that is going to be Norbert Jacob on this occasion. Managed to pick up a few points last time out. And leading the trade today, it is going to be one of the Williams. We used to see Georges Neder, actually no, it's a McLaren. I was about to say, we all used to see Georges Neder being one of the first drivers to head out there on circuit, but normally the McLarens are pretty keen to get some early laps in as well. And it is Reuben Pedregno who, as we mentioned, is leading the championship at the moment. He is on that 38 points. Joost Noordijk there on 28, and being only a short season, Joost missing this many races might not be the best news for him. He has got a replacement in tonight for Joost Noordijk. It is going to be Vadim Svetkov, who we have seen earlier this season as well. We've seen Svetkov putting in performances. Believed he raced last time out, which might have been for the first time of the season, if I just quickly consult my notes. Now, Svetkov raced at Belgium. Sorry, not last time out, and did score points in that run as a reserve driver. We've also got Floris Vyers racing in here tonight. He is now, actually, I believe he's a full-time replacement for Domenico Lavoce. So I don't think we're going to be seeing Gonvi too much more this season. What can Floris Vyers, a former esports driver, let's not forget. Definitely a driver with a lot of talent. Definitely someone who wants to get back towards that esports position. What can he do in this race? We've only seen him once so far this season, and that was an 8th place in round number 1 at Austria. Other reserve drivers, as we mentioned, we have got Chanakinchi racing tonight. He is replacing Sam McBride, and Jordan Poland replacing the aforementioned George Neder. But let's see what a hot lap looks like of the Suzuka circuit. On board with Reuben Pedregno, heading downhill then towards turn number 1, getting up to just over 200 miles per hour, about 325 kilometers per hour as you sling the car into turn number 1. A bit wider than what Pedregno would ideally like through there. Now through the S's, all about modulating the throttle, all about being nice and careful, nice and smooth at this part of the circuit, and seeing what you can do with the Spaniard having no such problems through there. Coming through the Dunlop curve now, turn number 7, a long left-hander that can easily catch the drivers out, especially when you're on worn tyres. You can lose plenty of time at that part of the circuit. With double Degners, 8 and 9, always tricky. 2009, we saw 4 red flags in the qualifying session at the Japanese Grand Prix, which is a joint record for the most ever in a Formula 1 qualifying session. Into the hairpin at turn number 11, a slight overtaking opportunity. You've got to be brave though to make a move through there. You've got to have a very compliant driver alongside you. Through turn number 12, into Spoon Corner at 13 and 14. Again, one where we might see the odd little invalidation and the odd little time penalty tonight, as it is one of the few corners on this circuit to not have gravel in the runoff area. Reuben Pedregno now heading up the hill, up towards the crossover, the only figure of 8 circuit in Formula 1, towards 130R. Used to be a challenge for a Formula 1 car, nowadays easy flat out. Make sure you get your braking point right at about 100 metres for the Casio triangle. Get a good exit through there, flat out through the right-hander, and Pedregno brings it instantly back into the pit. Jordan Poland carries on. The bump from previous games that used to be there, thankfully, has been removed, and it is a 128.905 for Jordan Poland. Instantly beaten by Cartalundi, instantly beaten by Duncan Hoffland as well on a 128.256. Now, to give you an idea of the sort of times we've expected tonight, in F3 earlier on, pole position was a 128.190. We saw a 127.852 in F1 yesterday. Now, of course, F1 has the full qualifying, so things are slightly different in terms of the track evolution and how things work out there, so we're not going to have that be the case tonight. Any time in and around 127 is going to be a very good time indeed. George Neder has unfortunately, as he seems to be plagued with at the moment, has had a few problems with his internet, so he is not racing tonight. He has been replaced by Jordan Poland. Alfie Butcher goes fastest. It's Tamabukin across the line in 14th place. What can reigning PSGL PlayStation F1 champion and a very experienced man, then he was known as Blizzard, now of course Matthew Older, what's he going to do as he comes towards the line, gets himself up in towards 4th place, and that's 5 points so far this season. Best finish of 8th place at the Belgian Grand Prix. Matthew will be hoping to get up and towards the podium places and possibly get one of his first podiums on the PC platform. But the majority of the field has completed their first runs. Both of the McLarens, interestingly, choosing to abandon their first laps. And it is Alfie Butcher fastest at the moment by 47 thousandths of a second from Duncan Hoffland. Christoph Seller puts himself into 3rd. Older, Akinci, Lunda, Charbon Cognier, Lut, Miklevcic and Jack West for top 10. Norbert Jacob missing out on that. Now, a quick note, the Formula 1 game, and I know this is a pet peeve of many people, including mine, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, does not look at who sets the time first. In the background, the game does look at 10 thousandths of a second, so 4 decimal points, similar to what you get in the IndyCar series. That is what the positions are based on. Last week's race winner, Luke Smith, is 12th. Poland, Svetkov, Vayas and Puki, the 16 drivers to have set a time at the moment. Doesn't look like anyone is going for a second run on the tyres, which is probably a wise thing. You won't be seeing too many of the soft tyres in the races. It is a nailed-on one-stop strategy, as most races are on this game, and as most circuits are. It is a hard, medium to hard strategy, and you can almost do it 50-50. It's a 27-lap race. Of course, you can't split it exactly down the middle unless you've got any mechanics waiting on the run up towards 130R on lap number 14 of this race to quickly change your tyres. But you will see drivers do roughly around 12-13 laps on the medium tyres and then around 14 or 15 on the hards, or vice versa, of course, depending on which tyres you want to start the race on. We'll see how this lap goes then for Pedregno. He was very wide into turn number 2 on the last occasion. Keeps it much tighter to the right-hand side this time. Has yet to, has had one pole position so far this season. That was at round number 1 at Austria. Every race he's finished, he has been on the podium. Him and Joost, in the races that they've taken part in, have generally been the ones consistently up towards the order. We've only seen Joost twice so far this season. The Dutchman, the winner of Challengers on the PlayStation platform, and a former PlayStation champion here at Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. Second in the championship, only a second and first in the 2 races he's done so far this season, which is not bad whatsoever. Let us know in the chat who you guys think is going to take the victory. If you quite fancy yourself as a bit of a precision prediction maestro, make sure to check out our sponsors Grid Rival. The link is down in the description for our Fantasy League on the F1 2022 season. Let's not forget, it will only be about 8 days before we see the Formula 1 cars out on circuit again for practice for the Belgian Grand Prix, I believe. Unless there is another week left. I'm fairly sure we'll be coming around next weekend. Someone, I'm sure, will correct me in the chat if that is not the case. Pedregno, that is going to be a penalty. That, I feel, is going to be a time penalty there for that Williams. It was Jordan Poland who's been spun around. Yeah, that was not the greatest at Pedregno. Obviously did the spin, not the greatest from Poland. That he didn't see that one coming. No one's really covered themselves with glory in that one. Max Vettel, he's covered himself with glory. He's shot himself up towards second place at the moment. We'll see what Tamabukin can do. Fellow VSR driver alongside Poland and Hoffland. And obviously, as well, the other drivers that we've not getting tonight in Nordyke and Jos Adair. And Tamabukin comes into the pits. He has yet to score any points this season, Tamabukin. And that is because he's yet to get to the checkered flag so far this season. So really has not had much fun. He'll be hoping for much better performances tonight. He'll be hoping that we don't get a start like what we saw in F3. A reminder, there is no formation lap because of that issues with the formation lap at the moment. Oh, talking of issues, we said the Degners can be a tricky corner. Luke Smith, just a bit too much exit curb through the first part of the Degners. Goes flying over them there. Manages to avoid the barriers and avoid heading towards the gravel. So luckily for him that he's managed to do that. We'll see if he can save enough tyres and save enough fuel to get another run in. Said he wasn't really looking forward massively to Japan last week out. Was relieved that he's finally starting to find his feet on the game. Down in 14th at the moment. Just under 4 tenths off pole position. So it's not like he's a long way off. In league racing though, we quite often see the entire field separated by 4 tenths of a second. How many times in the F1 tier have we seen the top 10 separated by about a quarter of a second? So could really do with getting a much cleaner lap in. Carter, fastest of everyone then on his one. We'll see what Duncan Hoffland can do on his second one. The Dutchman in the Aston Martin so far this season is in 8th place. It's the first time we've seen him for a couple of weeks after his summer holiday. Yet to get a podium. 6th in Austria and 4th in Miami. Suggests that Hoffland, a former runner-up in PSGL on the PlayStation, is always there or thereabouts when it comes to being towards the top of the order. Can sometimes pick up a penalty. Qualifying isn't always being his biggest strength. 36 thousandths up on his personal best at the moment though. This could definitely be good enough to get him on towards the front row of the grid. He's only 85 thousandths off of pole position. You can see there our top 5 drivers are separated by a 10th of a second. 7.5 minutes to go. Looking like we are going to have a fascinating qualifying session and hopefully a fascinating race in store. As we've already mentioned, it is only one DRS zone around here. Quite a difficult circuit to overtake on. So this could be a crucial pole position, as it was in the first 2 races of the season, Austria and Miami. You scored pole position there, you took the victory. The only driver not to get a podium after getting pole position so far this season is Carter, who finished 11th after penalties at the Belgian Grand Prix. The Aston Martin now of Hoffland makes his way over the curb at the Casio Triangle through the right hanger. So relieved you don't have to bother about that bump anymore. Gets himself up into 3rd place. Very nice lap indeed from Hoffland, as it looks like Alfie Butcher is finding some serious time at the moment. 65 thousandths up. Alfie's been someone since he transitioned from the Xbox platform on towards the end of the last game. He's been someone who has really impressed me with the step up that he's made. Definitely someone I think we will be seeing in Challengers and very possibly F1 Esports in the future. But there's only 30 spaces. It is a crowded market at the moment. And when you're up in esports, you can't afford those tiny little errors like that. Alfie Butcher just invalidating on that lap time. Not ideal for him whatsoever. Jack West making his way around the final couple of corners. He's not had the greatest start to this season so far, despite showing some promising pace in the Ferrari. 8th place for him. And is Reuben Pedregno is our championship leader. 6 minutes to go. We're 2/3 of the way through the qualifying session. And it is Lundy, Butcher, Hoffland, Wiesel, Stella. Your top 5 separated by a 10th of a second. Sharbo, Conye, Lutt, West, Alder and Akinci. Top 10 separated by less than a quarter of a second. Can we see Reuben Pedregno finally get a clean lap in? No, Errant Williams in the way this time, coming through the final sector. I'll be gobsmacked if we don't see a penalty for Jordan Poland for that one. And Pedregno comes only the second man to get into the 128.1. So Lundy, Pedregno, now your front row of the grid. Looking very nice indeed, with Nordyke not being here. Spiff down in 15th place and Simon Perigny, of course, not being here either. He has been replaced by Caden Lutt for tonight. Not looking too bad whatsoever for Pedregno to extend his championship lead by the end of the day. As we wait and watch to see what Max Wiesel has done. Now, I'm sure a lot of viewers who are familiar to PSGL F2 and PSGL F1 on the PlayStation side last year will know Max Wiesel is a real racing driver. He's a very experienced man. He is in his 30s, which in league racing terms is quite old. It's very rare I get to commentate on someone who's actually older than my 27 years, but Max Wiesel is a real racing driver. Raced in the Super League formula back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. If you're not familiar what that is, I suggest you give it a Google. There are some quite interesting coloured teams there, all based around football clubs. It was a very fancy racing series that unfortunately didn't last too long. Did manage to get a pole position though in the series. Did Max Wiesel, driving for... You know, I really should remember who he's driving for before I started that fact. Around Silverstone, he did get a pole position there. We'll see if he can get a pole position tonight. Max Wiesel in the Alpine. He's a 10th up on his personal best at the moment. So this might be enough to make it an Alpine 1-2. An Alpine, despite having 2 very pacey drivers, because of the bad luck that Lundy's had, are quite low down. They're only 7th in the Constructors at the moment. Max Wiesel dives it into the pit lane. We'll quickly go over our Constructors Championship standings at the moment. It is this team that you're seeing on the screen, the Papaya Orange of McLaren, that are leading the championship. 43 points for them, 2 points ahead of Aston Martin, who are on 41. Ferrari on 31. Alfa Romeo 28. Williams 27. And then your bottom 5, Alfa Tauri, Alpine, Red Bull, Haas and Mercedes. It's weird seeing Mercedes down there. Only 4 points at the moment, all from Sam McBride as Andre Tamabukin. Only full-time driver at the moment yet to get any points. As we've already said, he's yet to see the checkered flag at any point. So he'll really be hoping that he can put in a good performance tonight, and really hoping that some of the bad luck that he's had manages to disappear. FES, the Hungarian esports outfit, not having the greatest of times at the moment. Svetkov with a very interesting line through the final corner there. They've got the bottom 3 drivers. 4 of their drivers are in the bottom 5 at the moment. It is only Benchishabo Konye who's really putting in a decent performance, as you might say at the moment, up there in 8th place. I mean, chance less than a quarter of a second off pole position. He finds himself 13th at the moment. Quarter of a second is separating 14 drivers. It is going to be a close one. Jordan Poland manages to get 9th place on that last lap. First time we've seen him this season. Like a lot of this grid there is kind of a bit of a theme here. A lot of this grid made their name in PSGL on the PlayStation. On the PlayStation platform, it's where we saw Jordan, Matthew, Miklavcic did some races there as well. You know, Max Wiesel, Duncan Hoffland, all other drivers and those who aren't here, like Joost Nordyke, also putting in a lot of great success. Now seeing what they've done on the PC. And let us know in the chat, what do you think is the best way to do things? Be in the higher tiers on the console, then make your transition over to the PC? Or would you rather start from the bottom, start from sort of tiers 8 and 9 on the PC, and see if you can climb your way up? Because as you can tell at the moment, it is very competitive, and I do think sometimes having that experience towards the high end of the order, especially when it comes to challengers, and especially when it comes to, you know, if you get towards the Pro Exhibition. There's another driver in the chat, Valentin Brufer, Vasta Racer, who's very experienced, obviously, with racing on both platforms, saying that PS to PC is the right thing. I'd love to go straight towards Tier 1 on the PC. I think they'd have to have a Tier 100, though, if I ever do decide to return to any league racing. Here's another man who made the transition, was battling, let's not forget, for the one and only Xbox Championship we had here at PSGL a few seasons ago on the last game. Came so close to taking the victory, but it was Sam McBride, Smasher, who ended up taking that championship. Can Caden Lutz score any points this time out? Got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane last time around at Mexico. It is quite common to see speeding penalties. They're not so much at this circuit, but it's another one where the drivers can find things quite difficult. We'll see if Caden Lutz can keep it nice and clean on this occasion as Miklasic just gets well out of the way of his teammate. I think he's actually made a mistake coming through the first sector. And Caden Lutz is 28 thousandths of a second down on his personal best at the moment. It is currently Reuben Pedregno leading the championship at the moment. He's on 38 points. 28 points for Joost Noordijk, tied at this moment in time with Luke Smith. 26 points for Simon Perronier. Max Wiesel is 5th in the championship on 21 points. So any one of those could mathematically, well, anyone apart from Joost, as he's not here tonight, and neither is Simon, but any one of Reuben, Luke and Max Wiesel could mathematically be leading the championship tonight with 6 races remaining. Italy, Abu Dhabi, Brazil, Imola, Austin and Silverstone. The final 6 out of the 11 rounds here in season 31. Not been the greatest of laps so far for Caden Lutz, and he is going to be the first man to take the checkered flag in this session. It's flown by so far here tonight. Caden Lutz drifts his way through the final corner in towards the barrier. Hopefully, that doesn't put any of these drivers off. We'll see who's going to be the next car towards the line. Alfie Butcher, fastest of everyone then. Fantastic lap from Alfie. Next up, it is going to be Matthew Older. He's had a spin through the final corner, well, for the final chicane as well. It is not going well for a lot of drivers tonight. Luke Smith won last time out. He's down in 17th at the moment. Shoots himself up to 2nd with that lap. Fantastic job from him. Carter Lundy, he's improving, but he has invalidated Reuben Pedregno. Can he take pole position? 3rd place for Pedregno at the moment. Max Wiesel, he's finding some big time. This could shoot him up towards the front of the order. Gets him into 4th ahead of his teammate Vallejo. Heading towards the line. He's finding some time, only enough though to get him into 10th place. Next up, Andre Tamabukin stays in 11th for now. Last week's pole sitter Chana Kinchi, 2/10 of a second up at the moment. Can he get himself into that 128.1 group? He can indeed. 128.142. He's less than half a tenth off pole position, for crying out loud. He's not even good enough for the first 2 rows of the grid. That is how close things are at the moment. Floris Valles comes across the line with 18th. He'd have been expecting more. Istvan Pukki finding some big improvements. He shoots himself up towards 14th. I think that is pretty much it for qualifying. The only man out on circuit still is Primoz Miklasic. And he had that spin earlier on, so he will not be improving at the moment. So it is Alfie Butcher, pole position. The first repeat pole sitter we've had this year. Alfie Butcher matching that pole he got at Miami, which was the last time he took a victory. Well, it wasn't the last time he raced. And that, as you can already tell, was the last time he took a victory. It is Alfie Butcher on pole position. What can the young Englishman do here? Can he match that in a 27-lap race, especially around a circuit where qualifying is so important? Alfie Butcher then on pole position from last week's winner, Luke Smith. 2 thousandths of a second separating them. Pedregno, Wiesel, Chana Kinchi and Carter Lundy all within a 10th. 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th for them. Duncan Hoffland starts in 7th alongside Norbert Jacob, who is in 8th place. Jack West and Christoph Seller round out the top 10. Vallejo just outside in 11th. Will he go for a very long strategy again and try some interesting tactics as he did last time out? Tamabukin, Szabo Konyi, Pukki, Jon in Poland, Caden Lutz, Matthew Older, Primoz Miklasic, Floris Valles and Vadim Svetkov round out the 20 drivers. We'll see you in the race right after this break. Yes, everyone, and there is the circuit we are racing at tonight. We are at Suzuka, 3.608 miles, 5.8 kilometres, 18 corners, and as we've already mentioned, only the 1 DRS zone, so that will make things quite interesting indeed when it comes to how things are going to work in the race. As a reminder, there is no formation lap, so let's head straight towards the grid. It is going to be Alfie Butcher on pole position. Can he convert that to a second victory of the season and become, in fact, our first repeat victor of the season? As the lights are coming on here, we've got 5 lights. They go out then, and we're underway for the Japanese Grand Prix. What are the starts like from all of the field? It's a fairly decent start then from Luke Smith, just getting squeezed by Alfie Butcher, and Pedregno's going to try it all the way around the outside in towards turn number 1, but it is Alfie Butcher in the lead. Pedregno, there's been contact there between Smith and Pedregno. That sends the championship leader all the way down towards the back of the grid. There's been another spinner as well. That is Andre Tamabukin, who has gone all the way around. Norbert Jacob getting very close to a few cars in the field there. But Alfie Butcher on the hard tyres got a slightly slower start. He's managed to hold the lead of this race. Squeeze Luke Smith in towards turn number 1. Smith in second, showing some decent pace at the moment. Can he even get a run down towards this hairpin for the first time on lap number 1 of the race? We'll see what the order is at the moment. Well, we'll see what the order is compared to qualifying, of course. You can see Jack West and Christoph Seller having a good battle. Caden Lutz gained 4 places. Can Luke Smith go all the way around the outside at this moment in time on Alfie Butcher? He's got the inside line for Spoon. I think this move's going to pay off. Round inside goes Luke Smith. Alfie Butcher, though, has managed to get the cut back. Just about avoids contact on that occasion. Smith leads this race. Butcher in second place. And now Max Wiesel, he's fancying himself to get a bit of a run on the Williams driver. So the hard tyres, as we probably expected, not giving the grip that you'd want at the start of this race. And there is Butcher weaving all over the place just to maybe warm up some tyres, because there is no formation lap, so they've got a lot cooler tyres than what they normally have. But also, of course, I think trying to break a bit of a line at the moment. I really wish we did have a replay function on the F1 game so we could see a replay of that start moment. But yeah, definitely wouldn't be surprised if Smith gets a penalty. Thankfully, though, looks like Pedregno has avoided any damage. He is able to continue. But down in the middle of the pack on the medium tyres, not where you would want to be. He'll have wanted a chance to fight his way up the order in the early stages of the race. Now that things have settled down, we'll get the position changes up again. Floris Vyers using all of that esports experience on the medium tyres to go from 19th up towards 11th. Pedregno, obviously the biggest loser. Tamabukin and Norbert Jacob not having the greatest start to the race as well. DRS will be activated next time around as Jack West works his way past Chanakinchi up towards 6th place. The man formerly known as Sparks, of course, on the Xbox platform, and you saw a man known as Sparks yesterday on that formerly from the PS platform. Wilson Hughes not having the greatest of luck so far this season. Neither is Jack West, 19th in the championship last year in PCF1, 18th last year in PCF2. Despite his pace, he's only 19th in the championship so far this year, with just 3 points coming from the race at Miami, so he'll be hoping for a better race on this occasion. Already, Luke Smith is almost outside of that all-important DRS window, which is what he needs to do in these early stages. We saw this in F3 as well. This is the tactic that you've got to break for. You've got to try and break away at the first part of the race on these mediums. The difference between pit laps is only going to be 2 or 3, but the hard tyres will struggle to heat up. DRS has been enabled. First time they'll be able to use it is next lap around, as the detection point is after the finish line around here. Luke Smith's not too worried about this at the moment. So Smith 1.1 seconds ahead at the moment of Butcher. Wiesel in 3rd place. Cartolundi in 4th behind his teammates in that, as I always talk about, that frustrating 3rd man in the train. You don't gain too much with a double slipstream compared to the single slipstream. I think it's a tiny, around about 5 or 10% more gain in terms of the aerodynamics, and that's not really enough when the car in front of you also has the DRS. You've got to get a bit more imaginative with your overtakes. This is one possible overtaking point, but you have to be a lot closer. You even have to be closer than Benchishabo Konya was in there, the Hungarian, in 10th position at the moment. The two Fez Hassers not doing too bad at the moment. Shabo Konya's had he's had an okay start to the season. He's always been there or thereabouts in the races, but has only managed to pick up points on one occasion, and that was in Austria. And as we said, Floris Vyers also picking up points on one occasion, so will be intriguing to see what those drivers can do tonight. But they're on for a good point score. It looks like Lundy and West are on for their best results of the season. It looks like again Duncan Hoffland's on for another good result, as Andre Tamabukin, he is not having the greatest of seasons so far, is he? 3 retirements right down at the back of the order without any safety cars. It's going to be null point for the Mercedes man once again, and they look like, with Akinci being a reserve and not scoring any points in the Constructors Championship for them tonight, it looks like they are going to be right down at the bottom of the order once more. Towards the top of the order, Gap staying fairly constant at about 1.1, 1.2 seconds at the moment. Hoffland getting a bit wild on the curves at the moment as Danfield has very smartly managed to work his way past the filter. Shame I can't ban you from the stream, Dan. We won't be unfortunately pausing the game, but I suppose that's just the situation we're in at the moment. Hope you're enjoying the action tonight, everyone. Let us know who you think is going to take the victory, who is going to emulate what a certain Lucas Blakely did and managed to take the victory around the Suzuka circuit. Smith looking good at the moment. That gap just staying around about a 1 second, and I do wonder if Alfie can manage to get within 1 second, are we going to see him have a challenge at Luke Smith? The hard tyres are not a bad tyre around here. Mediums and hards in terms of the life don't last too much at the moment. In terms of how much different they are, we saw last night drivers doing 13 on the mediums, 14 on the hards. I think we even saw a couple of drivers do 13 on the hards, 14 on the mediums. So that could be one to watch out for. And we'll see how all things go with safety cars and the like as the evening goes on. But it all looks like people have kept it pretty fine at the moment. Caden Lutz, he's the closest man to pulling off an overtake at the moment. I think we're going to need a bit of a miracle. Don't want to put our people off too much, but we're at that stage of the race. We all know what it's like. It's the first third of a league race. Everyone's fairly evenly matched. No one able to make a move because they're stuck in this DRS train. The entire field, excluding Andre Tamabukin, is in this train. As we're hearing, Luke Smith might have made a slight mistake on the last lap, and he's used up quite an amount of his ERS as well. Alfie Butcher not looking fantastic, but he's got about 10% more, and that might make all the difference now that Luke Smith is at risk at clipping. You just saw that red light flashing on the back of the car. I'm sure we've seen it all happen. When you're below 10%, that can cause you some big issues. And now that Alfie Butcher's within DRS range, I think it's going to be a tough one for Luke Smith. Alfie, if he's got a bit more DRS, if he's got that DRS, as the laps go on, those tyres are going to be much, much better on Alfie Butcher's Williams. This could be a big chance. And let's not forget, Butcher's had a win already so far this season. He can't take the lead of the championship tonight, but if he can make a few more races, he can really make a big say in the championship with 6 races throughout, as I'm thinking Mirko should send a pizza to Doncaster in England right about now. By the time it comes, I should just have finished commentating, and that would be very lovely indeed. I'd tell you I'd want pineapple on it, but I'm sure you'll report me for crimes against humanity. As Cartalondi all over the back of Max Wiesel at this moment in time, but you can see there Max has got the DRS and defending quite vigorously over his Alpine teammate. We've seen that a few times this season with Ocon and Alonso, and seeing as he's in the chat, congratulations to everyone in England and I believe England and Wales today who've got their A-level results, and best of luck with whatever you are doing in the future as well. Really looking forward to seeing how everyone's careers progress, and hope university or whatever you go into is whatever you expect. Some of you are doing journalism, some of you might even be covering real life F1 action in the future. It's going to have to go to be as exciting as what we're getting at the moment. Luke Smith in the lead of this race, 4 tenths of a second ahead of Alfie Butcher. When will Alfie start to strike? You can see it is a circuit you can manage your ERS on quite well, because it's quite a high-speed circuit. If we're being honest, it is quite a high-speed circuit. I actually did manage to get an A-star in physics. Can't remember anything now, and I'm not sure it really helped me in life, but there we go. Let's not compare my results to the rest of what Ash Best's results were. Let's not compare my league racing results to what Ash Best's were as well, because there's only going to be one winner in most of those categories. Duncan Hoffland starting to try and make sure he's the only winner that we get tonight. He's nearly broken the DRS range to Jack West at the moment. Jack almost outside of that 1 second, as I think Ben Chabo Conye has had a mistake here, and Floris Reyes has gone right over the chicane at the final corners. Has he crashed into Caden Lutt there? Something has happened between Lutt, Chabo Conye and Reyes. We saw Floris Reyes get past his Hungarian teammate coming through the 130R there. Caden Lutt also got ahead of the Haas. Yeah, something has really gone wrong there at the moment. So yeah, Caden Lutt on his way in towards the pit lane. I always like to say is when even if your results spell fudge, there's hope for you in the future. It's what you do from now on. Do not let some letters on a paper define you for the rest of your life. That is the only advice I will give to you. Who thought when you turned on PSGL tonight to be getting solid life advice at the moment? It's probably a good job that Daz is in the chat at the moment, giving everyone some updates. As Reuben Pedregno, championship leader, not really having a fun night. He had that incident at turn number 1. He's had another spin at the moment. He's down in 18th. I think a bit like Tamabukin and Lutz, he is going to need a safety car. Lutz coming to the pits. He has come for the hard tyres. Will we see him take those tyres toward the end of the race, or might he just even go for the softs at the end to get a fastest lap? And a reminder of the point system, how that works in PSGL. You can get a point for the fastest lap if you finish in the top 10. 16 for the victory, 12 for second place, 10 for third, 8 for fourth, then 6 down to 1 for 5 down to 10th place. And Smith's doing a valiant job at the front of this race at the moment. You can see Butcher gets close, but just not close enough at the moment. Smith's managing to get a good enough exit. Those medium tyres, the yellow-walled 18-inch Pirelli tyres that they use in Formula 1 for the first time in 2022. They're still giving enough purchase on that Ferrari at the moment, transmitting that 1,000-ish horsepower into the ground, that Luke Smith is able to just get enough traction out of that corner and stay in the lead of the race at this moment. And he needs to. He needs to just try something at this moment in time. Alfie Butcher, the only hard runner in the top 12, so take a bow from him to also defend from the lead of this race. The start of this race seems such a long time ago. If you remember what happened in towards turn number 1, Smith came very close to passing Alfie Butcher. Butcher managed to hold on for half a lap, but into that first corner, there was contact between Smith and Pedregno as the Spaniard, the championship leader, tried to go around the outside. We'll wait and see whether there is going to be any after effect, and whether there is going to be any issues in the championship. Yes, I am all by myself at the moment tonight. Chris Buxton sends his apologies, but he is ill. And get well soon, Chris. I'm sure you'll be fighting fit as we go next week for Monza. There's Carter Lundy. He's going to try and get closer to his teammate at the moment. Chanakinchi's got a bit of a run here on Jack West down the inside. A little bit of contact between the two of them. And West goes flying over the chicane. He'll say he was forced over that chicane. I think that's another one that could be going to the stewards. But again, it looks like Jack West not having the easiest of nights. And that has given a run for Christoph Scheller to go round the outside in towards turn number 1. That is a bit of a dreadful camera angle that we got given by the race director. Chanakinchi able to hold on to that one. He was attacking into the chicane. He had to turn it into a defending job. And that is Christoph Scheller remaining in 8th place. And that has almost broken up the train again. Jack West came close to losing out big style there to Chanakinchi. I think he'd almost dropped outside of DRS range. And I do wonder, he didn't really back off. He didn't really get closer to the back of, to the front, I should say, of Chanakinchi there. So I do wonder whether that could cause him a few problems. As talking of problems, Primoz Miklevčić has had another issue coming from Dunlop Curb. The former challengers drive on the PC. That vicious circle, you have a spin, you heat up your tyres, you have another spin. And Miklevčić just needs to keep it careful for now. The Alfa Romeos, unfortunately, finding themselves up towards the back of the order tonight. 19th and 20th for them. Not really an ideal start for Miklevčić in this race. We're nearly at the third waypoint in this race. Let us know in the chat who you think is going to take the victory. Because I'm thinking, I'm agreeing with a lot of you. I'm thinking it is looking very good for this man to become our first repeat winner of the season. Luke Smith won last time out in Mexico. Joost Noordijk won in Belgium. Reuben Pedregno won in Austria. But it was the Williams of Alfie Butcher that took the victory at Miami. Will he take another victory as Primoz Miklevčić? He just wants to get closer to the fans as he has another moment at Spoon Curve. They say it comes in freeze. And he'll be hoping that is the last time we see him have a moment, as we have had an overtake. We've had the junior team overtake the senior team there. Istvan Pukki gets himself up into 12th place. And that is now 13th for Norbert Jacob. So, yeah, Norbert dropping down in towards 13th. Managed to get some good points last time out with 8th place in Mexico. Doesn't look like we'll be seeing any from him this time around. That is a 3-second time penalty for Miklevčić. Yeah, things just go bad to worse. He comes into the pits and it will not surprise me at all. I mean, it's worth carrying on. You never know what could happen. We've seen quite a few drivers make mistakes tonight, and it looks like I was wrong. Looks like Miklevčić is going to carry on. He'll put the medium tyres on. If you're careful, you might get 18 laps out of them, but I do think you'll have to make a pit stop for the soft tyres towards the end. So watch out for him setting a fastest lap later on. Lap number 10, we're still yet to see any of the medium runners come towards the pit. Lap 11 and lap 12, probably the earliest we will see anyone go for them, unless the likes of Vallejo, Valles and Tamabukin out the back of the train fancy going for a massive undercut at the moment, which you never know. It could be something to work out for, especially if you are one of the Haas drivers. But we'll see if someone does come into the pits, and it is Carter Lundy, deciding he doesn't want to get stuck with his teammate. Carter Lundy, the Canadian, off into the pits at the end of lap number 10. We'll see what happens. Mediums are off on his. It will be the hard tyres. We'll just change the gap on screen to the gap to the leader to give you an idea of how the hard tyres heat up. They're not the greatest at heating up on this game. We have seen the undercut sort of works in an extended way. You might lose out on the first lap out of the pits, but you'll gain, of course, on the second lap when whoever you're fighting now has hard laps. Hard tyres coming out of the pit lane and cold tyres, and that'll be even worse in the future. 2024, we are going to see tyre blankets banned in Formula 1. So will the advantage come towards the overcut? We'll wait and see, as they're being very careful, understandably, on these hard tyres coming through Sector 1 at the moment. But already Lundy lost about half a second to the likes of Luke Smith and Alfie Butcher up ahead. But he'll gain that. Will we see some moves? Will we see some more drivers coming into the pits on this lap? Lap number 11, Smith, Butcher and Wiesel, your top three. As it looks like things going from bad to worse for Primož Miklevčić on the mediums. Another spin out of 130R. On board with Duncan Hoffland then, as I think this is going to be Miklevčić now. Calling it a day, and there we go, our first retirement from the race. The cookie has crumbled and Primož Miklevčić is into the pits and out of this race. Also into the pits, Luke Smith, Max Wiesel and Chanakinchi and Ben Tamabukin. So I think now that is really going to be it. We are going to see more and more of these drivers come into the pit lane. I think everyone else who's on the mediums who hasn't pitted will come in at the end of lap number 12. How long will Butcher and the rest of the pack go on their hard tyres? I think lap number 14 or 15 is when we'll see them come into the pits, and we'll see how much Carter Lundy lost out to the rest of these drivers, because he was right on the back of his teammates. He's going to be close with Chanakinchi. Can he sweep it round the outside? Cut back down the inside. Very nice indeed there from Carter Lundy. Superb job from him. And look how cold the tyres are on Luke Smith. Round the outside once more. There you go, sir. Nice and easy done. It's like Smith's driving around with a handbrake on at this moment in time, and that is just because how bad these tyres are coming out of the pits. Now that Lundy's got some temperature in, I don't think he'll catch up to his teammates, but there you go, he's managed to jump Luke Smith in that, and Luke must have had a nightmare pitch stop because he's dropped behind Max Wiesel as well. So not sure what's happened with Luke Smith in all of that one, but yeah, can only imagine he's had something happening in the pits. Must have got held, or I know Chan last week had something happen with the broadcast mode on the way into the pit. So I wonder if that has come for Luke Smith on this occasion. Very strange to see him that far back. Yeah, not ideal whatsoever. Alfie Butcher, though, leads this race 1.3 seconds. Those hard tyres are really coming into their own, and you can see there, well, all you can see is the garages, thanks to the camera angle, but you can see Alfie Butcher has set his fastest lap of the race then on lap number 12. So still finding more and more time on that set of the tyres, which is wonderful to see. Jack West retired from the race. Jack West retires. That is in the pit lane that we see West retire, so not quite sure what has happened there, whether he's been held in the pit lane as well. Yeah, agree. Fantastic move by Carter Lundy round the outside. He's now the lead car that has made some pit stops, as we're seeing a few more come out of the pits. Vallejo has also managed to jump ahead of Luke Smith, but on those cold tyres, Vallejo's got absolutely no chance in this one. Christoph Seller gets ahead of Smith. There goes Akinci. Just worrying, well, it's worryingly easy if you're a McLaren driver, how quickly everyone's able to pass you there. But this is what they had to face on the last lap with Lundy getting ahead. And there you go, Andrei Tamabukin, who is yet to pit, getting ahead of Vallejo. And that could cause the McLaren drivers a few problems. Last week, he was a cork in the bottle on a different strategy to everyone else. I wonder if he's now going to suffer the same fate on the back of Tamabukin, as Floris Baez, kind of known for picking up time penalties, unfortunately for him. And that looks like it's going to be the same case tonight, as he's just picked up a penalty. There is Luke Smith. Nicely done on the inside into the hairpin there on lap number 13. Luke Smith gets ahead of Christoph Scheller. He's got some work to do, though, if he wants to get a podium in this race. And it's Chanakinchi able to follow through as well. Tries to move down the inside, but Scheller's tyres just starting to get up to the optimal temperature on those hards. And Akinci might still, though, have another chance here. He's in the slipstream up towards the 130R. This would be a brave move into there. Just as a tiny bit of a lift-off, he's almost bump drafting on the Alpha Tauri. Round the outside into the Casio Triangle. He'll have the inside for the next part. There's a bit more wheel banging going on between the two of them. We saw this happen previously, of course, with Akinci and Jack West. And West having to cut over the chicane. It looks like Scheller has just got the advantage for now. Akinci's burned up his ERS. Can he go down the inside? Not on this occasion. Has to back off for now. And what that has done is allowed Smith to just break away a tiny bit. So, leader out of those that has come into the pits is Max Wiesel at the moment. 24.2 seconds behind Alfie Butcher, who is also on a set of the hard tyres. But of course, Butcher will be coming onto the mediums. He will suffer from this tyre warm-up issue that we're seeing the rest of the grid suffer from. But it won't be as bad. It won't last as long. By, midway through Sector 1, he should pretty much be fine, as Max just going a bit deep there into the second Degner. Loses a couple of tenths of a second. Pit loss around about 22, 23 seconds, I believe, around here. But I know we've seen a few drivers get hold in the pit lane, so take that with a pinch of salt. Alfie Butcher, though, still putting on supreme lap times at the moment. When will we see Butcher come into the pit? Because I think Jona Martins is right at the moment. I think we're still seeing Butcher pull away. This is looking like a fantastic victory for Alfie Butcher at the moment, if he can hold it on out of the pits on that set of the medium tyres. And if he does so, and if he breaks DRS range, I'm not sure what chance anyone else is going to have, as Norbert Jacob and Reuben Pedregno come into the pits, our championship leader. He's had a tough day. He's had a couple of spins already. One on lap number 1 after contact with Luke Smith, and one a few laps later. We didn't quite see what caused that one, unfortunately. But Pedregno just watching all of his rivals come past him. He stayed in the race, so you never know what might happen. If we get a safety car later on, that could bunch up the pack, and not having any penalties could be crucial. Talking of penalties, it is 12 seconds for Floris Reyes at the moment. Pace-wise, he wasn't doing too bad. It's going to count for naught, though, when you've got 12 seconds of penalties, and that is Istvan Pukki. Finding it a bit tricky coming through the first Degner. Those hard tyres not giving him the grip that he would want at the moment. So Istvan Pukki is down towards 6th place. He'll lose plenty more places once we see the pit stop periods count themselves out. And Alfie Butcher, I don't know if he's going faster than Max Wiesel at the moment, but he's definitely setting a similar pace to Max Wiesel at the moment. So not bad at all for Alfie. You can see there the pit light is on his telemetry at the bottom of the screen. He's burned up quite a bit more. ERS. So we'll wait and see what happens. Into the pits, I think this time around, is our race leader. Lap number 15. He started on pole. He got past at the start. And you just saw when he locked up the brakes there on towards the 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometre an hour speed limit into the pit lane. Those hards look definitely second best. Floris Reyes, Istvan Pukki also into the pits. So you're in Poland now. Takes the lead of the race. Where is Butcher going to come out relative to Max Wiesel? Butcher is going to be clear. He has made mincemeat of the rest of the pack at the moment. Max Wiesel's too busy worried about the car behind him. You can see Butcher coming out of the pits there. He's well claiming the lead of this race. He's still got about a 3-second lead to let his tyres warm up. So there we go. Hope you enjoy your dinner, Dan. Please let us know before you leave what you are eating. It better be good if you want to miss this fantastic action that we're getting. Lap number 16. It's looking good for Butcher. It is looking good for Butcher. I said the mediums weren't as bad for tyre warm-up at the moment. Looking at how that Williams was scribbling his way through turns number 6 and 7 there. They're definitely not the greatest at the moment, but as long as he stays a second ahead, he should be clearing this one. And as long as he doesn't get any penalties as well, he should be clear as well. Butcher looking in a good place with 12 laps to go to claim his second win of the season. Those are our drivers that are still yet to come into the pits at the moment. Jordan Poland, Matthew Alder and Vadim Svetkov all started on the hard tyres. It might be going a bit longer. Might be hoping that we get a safety car. If that is the case, this is not a bad strategy. But there's not really too many massive battles at the moment. There's not too many cars supremely close to each other that could possibly lead for a safety car. As there comes Poland into the pits. Alder stays out. Svetkov decides to follow the Williams in as well, so it is only Matthew Older who is staying there out on the track at the moment. One close battle we've got is between the two Hatters, and you've got to think, if he's faster, and if they're communicating, surely the best thing to do here for Floris Viers would just be to let Ben Charbot Cognac go. He is on older tyres, so I think the chance of him being faster is unlikely. But you don't want to be held up by A, your teammate, B, they're also in the same esports team. And as you can see there, Floris has got 12 seconds of penalties at the moment, as Svetkov's going to come out right in the middle of this battle, round the outside at turn number 2. Tries it for Charbot Cognac. He's going to get a better exit, though. He's going to have the inside through the first part of the S's. And that is Charbot Cognac back up in towards 13th place. But getting into points from there, Poland and Floris Viers both have time penalties at the moment. It's looking a bit better for Viers and Puki. Well, for Poland and Puki than it is for Viers, although I do expect another penalty to be coming post-race for Jordan Poland after that qualifying incident, which seems like a lifetime ago, let's not forget. The qualifying incident with Poland and Reuben Pedregno. I'm not sure VSR were going to thank me for constantly bringing that one up, but it, yeah, be very surprised if we don't see Pedregno reporting that one at the end of the day. And I think at the end of this race, it's going to be looking good for Butcher. 3.3 seconds he's got that lead up to the moment. He is in a class on his own, starting on the hard tyres, staying in that train. Definitely looks to have been the tactic to go for today in PSGL F2. Matthew Older now comes into the pits. Everyone has done their one compulsory pit stop. Everyone has used a different compound of tyres, which, unless you change it for some reason, it would be a very silly thing not to do. And there we go, Butcher with the fastest lap of the race. Could we see him even get a perfect 17 points? Could we see him get a hat-trick? Can't do the Grand Chelem of leading every lap, obviously, after losing a lead early on in this race. But Alfie Butcher, he's got the pole position. He looks like he's got the win. 3.8 seconds ahead, touch wood, so hopefully I don't commentators curse him, because I don't want to be blamed for that. If he gets the fastest lap as well, might even see Alfie Butcher send himself to second in the championship, and he would only be, as things stand at the moment, he would only be 4 points behind Reuben Pedregno, despite having done 2 races less. Not a bad position for Butcher to be in. The field has split up as well. You can see 2nd, 3rd and 4th still fairly close at the moment, with Duncan Hoffland in that 4th place. But if you look behind him, getting held in the pits really has cost Luke Smith as we're into the final 10 laps. Some battling happening further down the field as well. Older and Svetkov getting pretty close together, with Puki and Charbot Cognac. Down the inside goes Vadim Svetkov on the Red Bull driver, and Reuben Pedregno, championship leaders, still trying to see if he can get some points out of this race at the moment. Pedregno in 16th on the harder tyres. He's going to be holding on for all it's worth, and I'm not sure, try as he might, I'm not sure even Pedregno can manage to salvage some points from this race at the moment. But you never know. Penalties, late safety cars, late VSCs. We saw a very early safety car in PSGL F3 earlier on the first lap of the race. Wait and see what different tactics everyone is going for, as Puki getting very close to the back of Charbot Cognac. Can't quite make the move into the chicane. I think tactically just staying behind, because he knows we've got the DRS, and we've not seen too many moves into turn 1 at the moment. We're not really going to see a move into turn 1 here, because it is going to be done long before we get towards the first corner. Puki able to retake the racing line, and that is the Alpha Tauri with his 3-second penalty up in towards 12th place. So Poland still on to score a point on his debut this season, despite him also having that 3 seconds of penalties at the moment. Another driver to watch out for later in this race. We'll wait and see what Norbert Jakob can do at the moment. He's got the medium tyres, he's got fresher tyres than those ahead of him for now. You can see 2 laps fresher than Vallejo, 3 laps fresher than Akinci, as Vadim Svetkov picks up a time penalty. Unsurprising, with all the battling we're seeing off, you're less likely to be paying attention to the track limits and more likely to be paying attention to the limits of grip and the limits of your front wing against the rear tyre of your rivals. Going back to my original point, Jakob is in 9th place, didn't have the greatest start to the race, but you can see he's managed to gain, well, he's actually lost 1 place since the pit stop. First lap was not the best, as we're hearing Caden Forbes. If he's engineering rather than watching football, I want to know how he's managed to get a signal in a football stadium. I'm not going to make any joke about how many West Ham fans are attending tonight, no matter how tempting that one might be. You can see there, Jakob lost 1 place from his starting position, lost a few places earlier on, but he's gained in the pit stop period in 9th place. But just stuck in this train, stuck in a DRS train, stuck with hardly any ERS, isn't helping him at the moment. And despite not being stuck in a train now, as he was earlier on, Cartalundi can still not get ahead of his teammates. He looks the fastest out of himself and Max Wiesel. We're in the early stages of the championship still. We're not even after the halfway point after tonight. This is round number 5 out of 11 in season 31 of Premier Sim Gaming League, brought to you in association with GT Omega. You can use the code PSGL to get 5% off their products if you want to get a lovely chair like mine. Cartalundi he's sitting fairly comfortably at the moment. He's making sure his teammate isn't sitting fairly comfortably. I can't imagine there's going to be any team orders. We don't know if these two are in communication, as it's already been mentioned in the chat. They are both part of the TF10 esports stable, the Spanish squad. Wiesel in second, Lundy in third at the moment, Butcher in first, also part of TF10. So they're not doing too bad at the moment, and it looks like it is going to be a dominant victory from Alfie Butcher. He's got that gap up to 6 seconds. It is rare in league racing that you see a win as comfortable as this one looks to be. As long as he doesn't get too far ahead of himself, and as long as he doesn't lose his concentration and start making issues, you never know what could happen. It is not over until the fat lady sings. As Lundy getting closer again, half a second, probably just too far behind to have a going towards turn number 1, and I think he realises that he's not using his ERS at the moment. He has got about 30% ERS more than his teammates, so get the funny feeling that if he wants to go for a move, Cartalundi may well have the advantage, but how long is he going to wait for that, as Older and Svetkov having their own little battles in towards turn number 1. Matthew Older up in towards 14th place, needs to gain some more places, needs to get ahead of Charbot Cognier and Pookie if he can, and somehow drag himself further up the order, because he's still not massively out of this for getting some points, having no penalties, and neither is Charbot Cognier at this moment in time. But everyone seems quite happy to just stay where they are, and you can see how steady they're taking this pace on the hard tyres, because not so long ago Duncan Hoffland was more than a second ahead of Luke Smith. That gap is down now to 0.5 seconds, so let's not write out Luke Smith for pulling something off here. Him and Hoffland have got fresher tyres than Cartalundi. Cartalundi was the first driver to pit off the mediums at the end of lap number 11. He sort of lit the touch paper for everyone to dive in. At the end of lap number 10, sorry. Lundy coming in quite a bit earlier than everyone else, deciding as he was stuck in the train, third man, didn't really fancy staying there too long. Got a bit of an advantage thanks to his tyres on lap number 2, as we know the undercut doesn't work instantly, but did pull off fantastic moves we saw on, I believe it was Akinci and Smith, just drove around the outside of them, still couldn't quite get ahead of his teammates, and I've got a funny feeling that would have been his main target, as Christoph Scheller having to defend quite late there. Chad Akinci thinks about one down the inside. That could have been an aeroplane crash if those two had made contact. Bit of a late move from Scheller. Akinci, the Turkish driver, definitely not put off by that one. I don't think he'll be too happy about them driving standards. He'll be, whatever the esports equivalent to talking to Charlie is, he might just be doing that one at the moment. And correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong here, but is it Scheller also in FES? Or am I just making an assumption there? Because I'm sure Scheller at least used to be part of the FES lineup, but there was definitely no love lost between them there. As he's right down at the back of the field, he's not going to get any points, but at least he looks like he's finishing this race, and finishing it with some decent pace as well. Andrei Tamabukin in the other Mercedes didn't have the greatest start. He's carried on. Fair play to him. Fair play to Caden Lutz as well for carrying on after his earlier issues. And Tamabukin takes that fastest lap away from Alfie Butcher, which might be good news for Wiesel and Cartalundi if Alfie Butcher is particularly determined to get that fastest lap back, but I don't think he's going to be too bold about it at this moment in time. We'll just get a bit of an idea of the pace that he is still setting at the moment, as we have got a yellow flag. Not quite sure who that's for. Can't see anyone plummeting down the order there. And oh, it is Ben Charbot Cognier. I think Charbot Cognier there's had... Oh, he's definitely had a problem now. He's in the barriers. And that could well, of course, the safety car that we've been talking about. Charbot Cognier wipes out the polystyrene marker board, which definitely doesn't make you any friends on racing games. It's a bit of a weird place to see the driver spin. We've seen a few have issues through 130 on. Miklavčić had an issue there as well. These modern cars, you hop over the curbs, they definitely do not thank you for it. As Svetkov and Pedregno, both drivers have had their own problems in this race. Pedregno He's been chopped off earlier on in Sector 1 on this lap. Well, in this race, way back at lap 1. Almost thought the same thing was going to happen here. But Pedregno, he's holding on to that 15th place. And he wouldn't be in a bad position with a safety car. You can see 12 seconds for Myers, 3 seconds for Poland, 3 seconds for Puki, 3 seconds for Svetkov. Pedregno's a driver who could really benefit a lot from a safety car, but it's just not going his way. He will retain his championship lead as things stand at the moment, with Luke Smith not taking the victory and Max Wiesel not winning either. It is looking like Pedregno will still retain his championship lead, although that gap will be reduced significantly with Alfie Butcher. I mean, Butcher's butchering the field. To put it simply, 7.5 seconds. 4 and a bit laps to go. Alfie Butcher having a very nice time of things at the moment, and as you can see, not really bothering to go for the not really bothering to go for the fastest lap, as no hablo en español, por favor. Cartolundi, third position. He's seen plenty of ERS. You've got to wonder when he's going for it, haven't you, at the moment? You've got to wonder when is Cartolundi going to put the hammer down and just go for this position. 84% ERS compared to 51% for his teammates. He's got a 35% advantage at the moment. If he pushes hard, uses his ERS, he could well break Max Wiesel. He could well put him in towards clipping territory. I've just got to wonder whether there's some team tactics going on here and whether Lundy is going to wait for the final lap to avoid that situation happening, because I think if it was anyone but another Alpine ahead of him, Lundy would have shot off and Lundy would have tried to take this second position as early as possible and just tried to break the trade up at the moment to ensure that he's not under any threat from Duncan Hoffland behind. But Duncan has not really been able to get close. This race has followed the pattern that we sort of expected. It has all been about the strategy, and the best strategy to be on was start on the hard tyres and just use that extra life that they've got to build a massive lap. That is what Alfie Butcher's done. 3 laps to go. The Williams driver was our first repeat pole position taker of the season. Looks like he's going to be our first repeat winner as well. He's got 54 more corners to do, separating him and 16 points in round number 5 of PSGL here at Suzuka. Further down the order, they're still going at it. Pedregno and Svetkov. They're holding themselves up, but they are providing plenty of entertainment for us as Chadakinchi has managed to make a move on Christoph Seller there. So that is Chadakinchi back up in towards 6th place. We'll see if Pedregno is able to hold off from Svetkov, despite Svetkov having the DRS there. Wasn't able to take advantage. So has Aston Martin gone for a bit more of a, faster strategy in the corners? Definitely gauging more time around this circuit with that setup. If you put a bit more wing on, quite a high downforce circuit normally in Formula 1 Suzuka, although just because it's a high downforce circuit in real life does not mean these drivers haven't put on as little wings as possible. Definitely seems to be the meta on this game with the setups as the moment, to just trim things down as slim as possible. Looks like Svetkov didn't have the straight line speed that he could have done with there, even with DRS. Pedregno was able to pull away with him. Now that Akinchi's got ahead of Scheller, we'll see whether he can just use any pace. He's used all of his ERS to try and get onto the back of Luke Smith. 5% at the moment. That could leave him vulnerable to an attack from Scheller, but it doesn't look like the Hungarian has any tyres left at the moment. Got to wonder whether Vallejo and maybe even Norbert Jakob on those mediums stuck in the train has not been able to use them. Jakob's going to get a couple of points, but I think he'll have wanted more from the start of this race. And Vias Poland have also managed to work their way onto the back, but with that penalty, there's not a lot they're going to be able to do. Now, he started to use his ERS, but is he too far behind? Max Wiesel versus Cartolundi. Max leaving the door open here. It's going to have to be a bit of a dive. Round the outside goes Cartolundi in towards turn 1 and 2. Dodurko, as you might know him, our championship leader in PSF1, Mirko Suriano, saying he will try for sure. I mean, for sure he did try. Max Wiesel left 1 car's gap on the outside, and I'm surprised to see that Cartolundi actually went for that outside gap. I wonder next time around whether he'll go for the inside. That has burnt off some of the ERS of his teammates. We will have to speak after the race. I mean, all the time you have to leave the space, and Max Wiesel did leave 1 car's width on the outside. Carter went for that car's width. Don't think he was ever really far enough alongside, though, for that to be a realistic opportunity. But the Canadian really now starting to put a bit more time pressure on. And if this move goes wrong, As Lutz, Svetkov and Tamabukin are having their own fastest flat battle at the back of the field on the soft tyres, and it is now Caden Lutz who's gone for that. Max Wiesel, that is not a good exit. Spoon seems to have got away with it there. Didn't look like Carter-Lundy just stuck him a slight dirty air. Didn't look like Carty had retraction, as it is 4 retirements from 4 races he has taken part in for Andrei Tamabukin. Is Lundy going to try it into the chicane on the final lap? There's contact between Wiesel and Carter-Lundy. My, oh my, oh my. Lundy a bit late on the brakes there. Goes into the back of Max Wiesel. That has definitely compromised the exit of his teammate. And we've got yellow flags on the run down in towards turn number 1. That's not going to stop Lundy. Down the inside. Carter-Lundy goes. He takes second place. I think there are definitely going to be words at TF10 had after that. And will Carter-Lundy pick up a 5-second penalty for overtaking under yellow flags, as we've got a few more showing off now? Not sure if we've had a spinner further back anywhere. Yeah, I think Matthew Alders had a bit of an issue. Floris Byers gets a 5-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. He made the move there on Norbert Jacob. Looks as though Lundy's got away with that one though, which I'm sure he won't complain about that one, as Tom Clark with a very good point for breakboards did get wiped out earlier on in this race by that spin by Bench Shabo Konye. Duncan Hoffland not able to take advantage of all of that one. It'll be interesting to hear what Lundy and Wiesel have got to say in the post-race interviews. Get your questions ready in the chat now, because that could be a very spicy post-race debrief that we're going to get some interest for. It was certainly a fantastic late move down the inside. Someone that hasn't had to worry about any late moves though is Alfie Butcher. He started on the hards, held on to second place at the start, and he has looked absolutely brilliant since then. It's been an amazing race. Alfie Butcher towards the line, takes the victory here. Duncan Hoffland sends it on the chicane on Max Wiesel. It's not going to be the TF10 1, 2, 3. Lundy takes second place. Wiesel finishes 4th. Hoffland takes 3rd. Luke Smith in 5th position. Akinci, Scheller, Vallejo, Jacob and Jordan Poland round out the points finishers. Championship leader Reuben Pedregno misses out by half a second on what would have been a very nice consolation point for him. Shabo Konye, Puki, Vyas 12th, 13th and 14th. Matthew Alder, after a spin towards the end of this race, finishes in 15th place. And, well, I say finishes in 15th place. Don't know whether that was intentional. Donuts, not really the ideal point to do it at this part of the circuit. Just getting a bit hot at the end of the year. I think Matthew Alder is now just providing some entertainment. J turn across the line. Not quite. Svetkov 15th, Alder 16th, Caden Lutt in 17th. But it is Alfie Butcher. An imperious performance from the young Englishman. Takes the victory in this race. And I think in doing so, my maths is correct, sends himself up into 3rd place in the championship. Not bad whatsoever for the Williams team. See who gets drive for the day there. Carter-Lundy, he certainly provided a lot more entertainment than some of the drivers, especially towards the end of this race. I think, again, this is going to be interesting to hear what sort of conversations we have between some of the other drivers, as we do try and wait to see if they are available in the interview room for us. But it is Alfie Butcher. I mean, ever since Smith, Wiesel, Lundy got out of the way, there was no one really close to him, was there? Looked like that strategy as soon as he got back within DRS range after that mistake from Luke Smith, it looked like it was going to be the best strategy to be on. And there we go. Alfie Butcher with the victory. Carter-Lundy in 2nd. Duncan Hoffland finishing in 3rd position, as we just quickly, of course, get up the rest of the results on the screen for you there. And it is Alfie Butcher who takes the victory. Carter-Lundy 2nd, Duncan Hoffland in 3rd. A reminder, these are provisional results. Max Wiesel finishes in 4th place, but we'll wait and see if there are any words later on in the Alpine and the TF10 Cup. Luke Smith recovering from that pit stop incident early on to finish in 5th. Chalakinci in the points once again in 6th. Scheller, Vallejo, Jacob and Poland rounding out the top 10. Pedregno just missing out from what would have been a fantastic recovery drive after that spin earlier on. Shabo Konye was 12th, Puki in 13th, Floris Wyers 14th, Svetkov, Alder, Caden Lutt, Andrei Tamabukin, well, 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th for those. Tamabukin retired at the end. We saw Jack West and Primoz Miklavčić pull into the pits earlier on, as I think Paul summed it up quite right there. Content. there was certainly plenty of content towards the end of that race, hasn't there? Certainly some very interesting moves from the drivers, which I think will be debated about for a long time. Shouldn't be too long before we do get some of the drivers in the waiting room into the chat. Let us know what you think about that race. Let us know who your driver of the day was as well. In game, it went towards Cartalundi, but I don't think, given how dominant it was and given the controversy that move seems to have caused, I'm not sure you can really give it to anyone. In my opinion, I'm not sure you can really give it to anyone apart from Alfie Butcher, because he was, saying it again, he was absolutely simply imperious in that race and deserved the 16 points. So, we have now, I can safely say, we have got our drivers in, so we are going to drag them into the interview room. I think there's only one place we can start. It is our race winner, Alfie Butcher. A dominant performance for yourself. Were you surprised to not see anyone else near the front start on the hard tyres? Because it certainly seemed to be the way to go.
Yeah, I saw, like, everyone switched quite late on, so I was pretty much isolated on the hard strategy, but clearly I chose the right one, and luckily in the opening laps I was able to get my tyres up to temperature as fast as possible and only lose one position, which I think was the key to that strategy working.
Yeah, certainly. Did get pretty close between yourself, Luke Spiff, and Pedregno. I know there was a bit of contact between Spiff and Pedregno in towards the first corners. I don't know whether you saw anything from that.
I just looked back really, and I saw Reuben around, so it's a bit unlucky for Reuben, obviously. Yeah, I'm not too sure what to say on that one yet.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, definitely the same for Reuben with that one. Still nearly came back to get some points. Talking about yourself, though, you're now up to, I think, provisionally third in the championship. You've only done 3 races out of the 5 so far. That must give you a lot of confidence for how this season is going.
Yeah, the race pace every race has always been up there, and it's been really consistent. So if I can carry this on, hopefully I can bring the fight to the top, boys.
Yeah, certainly looks like you are able to. And next week, it's another classic Formula 1 track. It's Monza. Very different to this one in terms of the layout. How are you feeling about that? Is it a circuit you've driven yet on this game?
No. But yeah, once I practice, I'm sure we'll be up to pace and we'll be ready for the fight.
Yeah, I'm sure you will be. Congratulations, Alfie. Winner today. Our first repeat winner of the season.
Thank you.
Thanks to that. Well, next up, bring the man who finished in second place. And I think relief is the main emotion after what has been a tough season so far. Cartalundi, congratulations on your second place. But I think you've given your team boss a few nervy moments on the final lap between yourself and, well, on the final laps between yourself and Max.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you, and yeah, it is a relief. I've had 2 points in 4 races so far, and it's been a struggle. So it's really nice to finally be back on the podium and getting good results. Yeah, I think me and Max, we worked together pretty well. We tried to keep Luke out of DRS for as long as we could, but we managed our battery pretty well. So even when the rest of the train caught up, we were pretty safe from the cars behind. And then I made the move onto the final lap. I tried to get him the lap before, but it just didn't quite pay off. And then, unfortunately, we lost the double podium at the final corner. But I think finally Alpine gets some big points.
Yeah, definitely. Just trying to quickly work things out at the moment. I think you've nearly doubled your point score for the season. You had 23 before.
No, I think I've timed it by 6.
Yeah, for yourself. For Alpine as a team, you were on 23 tonight, before tonight. I think you've scored an extra 20 tonight. Provisional results, of course. You've been quite vocal about the tyre warm-up on lap number 1 since the formation lap's been deactivated. And tyre warm-up was very key. You pulled off some fantastic moves on that first lap outside of the pits.
Yeah, I was expecting the hards to be really, really bad on the undercut, but I was pleasantly surprised when my outlap I set better sectors in sector 2 and sector 3. So I think the hards actually managed to be really good on the outlap at this circuit, probably because sector 1 the tires overheat, so they got up to temperature really quickly. But yeah, the undercut worked perfectly, and we brought it home in P2.
Yeah, certainly did. And heading into next week at Monza, similar to Alfie, is that a track you've driven on this game yet? And is it a circuit where you think you can carry on this good form? Because you've certainly had the pace this season, and you've finally got the result to show that.
Yeah, I mean, I've not really done Monza on this game, but everybody will get on their program or whatever. I'll start practicing on Sunday or Monday, and then, we'll all be up to pace by the time Thursday comes. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about that, and I just want to keep up this form.
Yeah, certainly. Not bad whatsoever. Congratulations, Carter, on your first podium. We'll let you head off.
Okay, thank you.
And someone else who also got his first podium of the season was the man who finished in third place. That is Duncan Hoffland. Basically, the story of your race was being stuck in a DRS train, Duncan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, since the start, being stuck in the DRS, and then after pit stops, I was first for a short period. I think one corner, and then I lost the position already to Max, and Cartolani as well at the end of the S section. So luckily I could stay in the DRS, but I was stuck again. So that was unfortunate. Not really what I wanted, but I mean, still P3 at the end. So.
Yeah, definitely a good result for yourself. Tell us about the move on the final lap of the race. We only really caught the end of it as we were looking at Alfie crossing the finish line. Certainly left it late to get ahead of Max. Were you hoping the two Alpines would be battling a bit more and you might be able to take advantage and possibly overtake the pair of them?
Yeah, I saw Carter going for the move in lap 25 or 26 on the main straight. And he was moving to the outside and it became quite close. So I thought maybe this is a double kill and I can sneak to P2. But unfortunately, they just kept on track. And at the end, yesterday, of course, Jarno Opmeer did a move around the outside. I think Brendan Lee did a move around the outside in the final corner as well. So I thought I can do the same. So that's what I did in the final corner.
Yeah, certainly worked out well for yourself. And a bit like what I've asked the other two, Monza next time out. I imagine not done too much on this game at Monza at the moment because you've not really had any need to. Is that a circuit you think you can do well at?
I won't be home next week, so I won't be racing, unfortunately.
Oh, that is a shame. Off anywhere nice or?
Yeah, I do, but I can't say where I'm going actually.
Ooh. Interesting. Interesting. Well, we'll leave it there, Duncan. We'll leave it there. We'll leave everyone hanging. Congratulations, though, on your first podium of the season.
Thanks, Luke.
No worries whatsoever. And that is pretty much it for this stream, of course. And as I'm sure you're well aware by now, because I think we mentioned it a few times in there. Next time out, it is going to be the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. So make sure to check that race out. But there's still some more action to come around Japan. We've got the PlayStation platforms on Sunday for F9 and F10, and then some of the higher tiers on Monday with, of course, 8 PM, Jess Ball and Aidan Carter taking you through the action there. Can Mirko Soriano extend his championship lead in that one? But for now, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Make sure as well to check out the other league racing action we've got here. There is the PC Tier 1 action on Wednesday with Danfield and Jacques Canard. Can Lucas Blakely continue his fantastic form that he is in at the moment? And there's also the start of GT7 racing with top two tiers on there. The only place to see some of the top drivers in the world outside of the Gran Turismo World Series is on Tuesday at 8 PM. Watkins Glen this week with Webbo Red taking us through that one. And talking of GT, big thank you to our sponsors, of course, GT Omega, our main partners here, who give these lovely chairs to all our commentators. And of course, a big thank you to Grid Rival. But for myself, thank you so much for being such an engaged chat tonight. It really does make a massive difference when you're doing solo commentary. Really do appreciate the kind words. And we will see you, hopefully, with Chris in a week's time at Monza. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega and Grid Rival, proudly supporting PSGL.